Chapter 7. Extraphysical Pantomimes. Prior to projection. Wednesday, July 25th, 1979. I went to sleep for the second time tonight at 9:05 p.m. I was sleepy as I lay down on the left side. Extraphysical period. I became lucid in the extraphysical dimension and, soon after, I unmistakably identified the extraphysical surroundings. I was in Paris. After performing some extraphysical assistance, the group of helpers permitted me to leave in order to make some observations for the purpose of these records. I began the descent down a slightly inclined, tree-lined boulevard next to some parked cars. As I glided down the sidewalk, I was thinking about having come to Paris in circumstances quite different from past trips. It was a journey far removed from what I was accustomed to, because I was travelling without the soma. I had not paid the compulsory travel tax in effect in Brazil, did not have to pay airfare, was not carrying a passport, did not have a fixed address in the city, and was not carrying any money. My thoughts attracted and inspired some extraphysical consciousnesses who were practicing the creation of morphothocenes and somehow could capture my thoughts there on the street. Were they extraphysical actors? The group of about 8 extraphysical consciousnesses, some of them playful and apparently harmless, were playing with forms they created instantaneously. At that point, I realized that they were stopping anyone who was passing on the street to serve as protagonist in their pantomimes in that improvised arena. One of them grabbed me as if by the collar. Funny, I was dressed in shirt and coat, perhaps due to habits from prior trips, and emitted his thoughts with mannerisms typical of a French artist, emphatically proclaiming to the other observers, "Look, this one here does not have documents. He doesn't exist. He came from very far away. He is clandestine. There is nothing I can do but call the inspector." At the same instant, another one appeared in front of me and 2 others behind me. They were transformed into policemen, holding and pointing huge, extravagant machine guns, each one giving strict orders. They formed a circle around me and looked menacing. I knew I had nothing to fear and that it would be better to play along, participating in the farce, while these strangers exhibited their capacity to create morphothocenes as a kind of extraphysical pastime. I was trying to keep in mind the facts that pertain to me as a character. A 5th extraphysical consciousness, dressed himself as a higher-ranked policeman, came towards the others and stated, "Hold it there! I am the inspector. I am in possession of this citizen's documents and have come on his behalf. Free him." From inside his huge coat, he started pulling out, one by one, an extensive collection of documents of all types, shapes, and forms, constituting an enormous pile. As he continued to take documents out of his coat, more would appear from the seemingly bottomless pocket. The spectators were delighted by the scene, although some wore expressions of fear and astonishment, not understanding the significance of the events and perhaps hoping not to become victims of jokes that could be played on them as well. These adults acted like adolescent students, playing practical jokes on each other. To what extent could these extraphysical consciousnesses be classified as pranksters? Moments later, another extraphysical pedestrian caught their attention and became the center of their momentary interest. I went down the street and, after a few moments, felt the call to return to the soma. I still had fragmentary recollections of isolated extraphysical episodes prior to this event, images of aging marks on the walls of buildings assistance given to a projected woman and her small projected daughter, who had a deep gash on the right side of her forehead, and the entrance to an old building under renovation. After returning. In less than a minute after awakening, recollections of the main occurrences of the projection came to me in their entirety. Soon thereafter, fragmented memories of isolated episodes of other brief events that had preceded the last occurrence also returned. I checked the clock. 10:46 p.m. Paris is even further away than the atoll does Rockers. The tension and distension of the silver cord present important aspects for study. Observations. Outside the soma, it is imperative to constantly police one's thoughts because they come to life, act, create, and behave as we find ourselves in an exclusively thought-based existence, in which it seems possible to produce everything that the will desires. Another reason to police our thoughts is that in the extraphysical dimension, they can be perceived by others in the vicinity or even at a distance.